Welcome back.
That was fun.
Yeah, I have a team. My outreach team is meeting in our shop today, and we use Zoom for some of our virtual meetings. And they didn't realize I was using this, so they started a meeting and canceled our meeting. So I had to message them to cancel their meeting and get their own personal Zoom. So
No worries.
Gave me a heart attack. I'm like, what's going on?
So our outreach team at home we have this account for our outreach team, and I was using it, and they started their meeting because one of the mentors, and Jay's going to actually step into that meeting here in a few minutes. So Jay, you'll have to figure out what that other Zoom is.
I will send them a message and see what they've sorted out.
Heather, we all got kicked off, and it was my fault. This is our team account that we use, and I had started the meeting prior, and our outreach team has a meeting this morning at 10, and they have a couple of mentors. In fact, Jay's going to drop off here in a few minutes, and she's going to go join their Zoom, but they didn't realize we'd already started, and when they started, they kicked us all out. So welcome to technology. So we were, Chris, you said you were calling from there in New Orleans, and y'all had a little bit of flooding. Sorry to hear about the flooding. And I think Chuck had a question for you about FLL.
I just assume, are you doing FLL t-shirts there? Getting ready for your competition? You're on mute, Chris.
Yes, I'm doing FLL shirts. So I got some of the kids that are coming in to come press those shirts, but with the flooding, we'll see what happens. It's going to end up being me.
All right. Who else we have? Alyssa, where are you calling in from?
From Mississippi.
All right. Welcome. It's good to see you again today. And is it Danielle?
It's Dania.
Dania. I knew I was going to get it wrong. I apologize. I will get that right. Dania, how are you today? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Mississippi. I'm doing well. Nobody says my name right, so.
We're going to get it right here. So.
I was hoping you were calling in from London, Dania.
I wish. That's where I took my brother for his senior trip. So
got a little Big Ben going on there. So how about you, Heather? Heather, where are you calling in from?
Well, technically I'm calling in from Marshall, Texas, but my home base is Shreveport, Louisiana. All
right. Good to have another Texan in our program. We're happy to have somebody, a little Texas representation, even if it's not a team, at least a little Texas representation here. So
are you kidding? Texas is my alma mater. UT Austin.
Right. My wife and I are ready for the game today. So is it Ryan?
No, actually, that was my son. My name is Krista.
Okay, I was fixed to say I didn't recognize the name, Krista there. Awesome. Thank you. Krista, where are you calling in from?
From New Orleans.
Awesome. Welcome. Good to see you today.
Thank you.
And Jaggy?
Janine A.G.
That's right. I knew it was not Jaggy, but welcome, Janine. Where are you calling in from?
Mississippi, Heidelberg, Mississippi.
Awesome. Welcome. And Tony, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Great. Where are you calling in from?
Bogalusa.
All right. Welcome. I'm sure Chuck and David recognize those places and all. So, well, Scott and I are calling in from here in Austin, Texas. Scott's actually sitting in my office there at school. I'm calling in from the house. I had some stuff to do here. We have an FLL scrimmage going on in our building today. We have a Bell helicopter, a drone team competing in Arlington today in the national championship. And we have two FTC teams competing as well. So we got a little going on here in our program. And I'm very excited about being here. And Jay is calling in from California. Jay, how are things there in Cali?
A little bit crazy. Sorry, I am on my phone because we are babysitting a dog, and it's a senior dog, and it will die if it falls down the stairs. So I need to be like following it around. But yeah, For all that don't know, I am the First Lego League Explore Coordinator for Northern California. That's the really little kids program. It's for grades 2 to 4. They use Legos to make a model and show it off. But their competition season is from December to April. So we're kicking off our competition season here. And I am a little bit busy. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. And I think we're all getting ready for kickoff. As I hope that you guys are as well. Do not be scared. It might seem scary, but it is gonna be the best like weekend ever. And the kids are always so excited. You'll get to watch the video, and it's definitely the most high energy weekend of build season. It's my favorite weekend of build season as well.
That's awesome. Well, good luck today, Jay, there. Welcome, George.
Howdy, howdy.
Where are you calling in from, George?
Bogalusa, Louisiana.
All right. Welcome.
Thank you.
So show of hands here. Who has an FLL team in their area or their program? All right, great. Okay. And who has an FTC team in their program as well? Okay. Super. Good to see. Good to hear. Not that you're expected to at all. Don't just, it kind of gives us a little bit of reference and see where you, what you're involved with your program and all. So I can remember when we got started, and I can remember being where you were. First year rookie. I did not choose to start the program. The program was actually proposed to me by my high school principal. And I'd never been to a contest. I'd never seen a FIRST robot, never been to a tournament, had never heard of FIRST robotics. And so started school and had no mentors and no tools, no workshops, nothing at all. And had the number 2468, and we kept calling it 2468 for months because we were 24. We were trying to come up with a team name, and it took us about 3 months to realize we had 2468, and then it became Team Appreciate. So that's kind of the story of our team name. And I can remember going through the first year, and I was going to school. I just started a master's program. I was going to school part-time. 2 nights a week. I'd been married, just had got remarried about 18 months prior to starting our program. Had a middle school daughter and a 4th grade son. And the principal asked me to start the program, and I had no clue what I was doing. I've always heard you give somebody something, a busy person something to do, they'll probably be successful. And I will absolutely claim that my success was finding and surrounding myself with amazing people, and eventually, with the encouragement of individuals like Scott, learning to give over control and trust those others. And I can remember going to our first tournament in Houston and walking in the door, and there were 40 teams there with 10 by 10 pits, and it was a little bit overwhelming. And I was like, oh my. And I looked around, I'm like, how will we ever build anything like that? And then we went to World Champs, and they were out there competing, and there were awards given. And I can remember Miss Daisy was the team who won the championship chairmans that year. And they were talking about, they created up their robot and their students and their mentors, and they went to Great Britain to an air show. And I was like, oh my God, how in the world are high school kids not only building robots and being successful, but they're traveling halfway around the world to go do outreach? And I was like, how will we ever compete in this contest? And it was one of those that was just awe-inspiring and motivating at the same time, and stifling and almost suffocating to me. but it was so genuinely exciting. And I began to try to take, and instead of looking with these wide blinders, to really narrow down my scope and really narrow down my vision and start to put just small pieces into place. And that's our goal for this year. Is we as mentors, the mentor teams want to work with you, KoPilot teams, to have a narrow enough scope that you can see the success, but we're going to continue to expand that scope throughout the season to try to help you see a little bit better and understand. And you're going to have lots of questions, and some of those questions are probably seem to be the most important for you right now. And we definitely want to address those, and we're going to address some of those today. But we're going to try to work on the plan of trying to really focus on the robot and the things that you need to do to get through now till kickoff. And then each individual week after kickoff, we'll work with you individually and as a group to try to get that 1 week of progress and move forward. So I'm real excited about that and happy to have you here today. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. All right, Jay, good luck.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Trying to get the right screen up here for us to see. So I got a document here that I'm trying to share with you all. And so you can kind of see some of the things we're going to talk about today. So our check-in with all of you is great to see you here. Happy to have you here. We had 2 new teams, another team that joined. So now we're up to 9 teams. So we're really excited about that. I fully anticipate us getting to 15 to 20 teams. We're not concerned about the number of teams. If it's this 8 or 9 that we work with all year long, we're very, very excited and very, very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with you. And we appreciate that. And we respect you showing up for that. So some things I want to talk about today are your first dashboard. I want to talk about vouchers, first choice, some of the things that you have in your dashboard there. And so you will be getting a recording of this, and we're going to talk about some ways we're going to be sharing some of those each week as we move forward, trying to get those to you in case you do miss the call or you want to come back and look at it. So you can see the couple things here. So who has, by show of hands, who is mentor number 1 or number team for your team? All right, so all right, great. Okay. So it looks like most of you are. So
some of them are trying to figure out if they are mentor 1, mentor 2, thing 1, thing 2. Maybe tell them where they can find that information.
So I'm going to go show that too. I'm going to log in here on the dashboard in just a second. Great idea, David. So I know we have a couple of teams that have multiple parents or multiple adults in this program. And I think that's awesome because, as we talked about last week, it's not going to be one person that has the information and access. We're not the one source of knowledge. And I'm very fortunate to have representatives like Chuck and David and Scott and Greg and Jay and Sarah and the others that are going to be jumping on here with us. So we're excited to see those of you who do have multiple adults represented, and we want to continue to encourage you to have them sign up so we can include them in the communications and have them logging in here as well. So I'm going to take and go back to my screen, and I am going to go to the first dashboard. So if you go to First Inspires, can y'all see the first website now? Can I get a
Yes.
thumbs up? All right, great. So on this page here, this will be the first dashboard. So firstinspires.org. And in the upper right-hand corner is the login. So you would click login. It takes you to the page here. And if you've not created an account, you'll create an account. But if you're the first mentor 1 or mentor 2, this is where you would log in and then your password. And it's going to take you to the dashboard.
And I don't know about everyone else, but mine always makes me log in twice. It automatically logs me out and makes me log in a second time. I don't know why it's a first system, but don't think that's unusual.
That's exactly right. Quite often, Chuck, mine does. The only reason mine didn't kick me out this time is because I'd logged into it once before today on the computer here. So you can see here I have several teams underneath my supervision. Some of these are FTC teams that we have in the past in our program. And you can see the Philo bots there. It tells me I have an outstanding task. The reason I have an outstanding task there is this is an old FTC team that we're not registering this year. So I don't have any outstanding tasks this year, but I'm going to go to Team Alpha because that is our rookie team. So I'm going to click on that. And if you only have one team, this is the one thing you're going to have here will be this one team. So under Team Alpha, you have 4 categories: team options, team finances, team context and roster, and team events. And you can see I'm behind here because I don't have everything completed. Team roster, I don't have any students yet, and I have 2 primary contacts. We're going to go over that here. So I'm going to start from the left, and we're going to go from left to right. If you have an outstanding task, it's going to tell you here under outstanding task, it'll tell you exactly what that is. If you have a bill due, if you are you need your nonprofit statement filled, completed, it will give you an update there of outstanding tasks. You can see Team Alpha is currently up to date. The next is team information. So this will be your team profile. And this is where you put your team name. You can edit this. If I wanted to change Team Alpha to a new team, I could definitely do that. Even at this point, state, zip code, city, state, region, youth participation. This will be where you'll put the number of students on your team. And then if you have a team website, you'll put that. You don't have to have a team website. Don't freak out about that. Don't worry about that. If you do, great. If you don't, definitely don't worry about that. It could be as simple as a Twitter page or I guess X now, or Facebook page, or it could be a Weebly page. It could be anything, but is not required. Robot name, you don't know your name yet, probably your robot. That's not going to be required to be filled in there, but you would actually fill that in if you want to eventually. The next one, these are some optional check boxes. 1, our team currently mentors other teams. Our team would be willing to mentor other teams. Probably not what would each of you would fall underneath. You would probably be, our team would be like to be mentored from the team. You can absolutely check this, and it goes into a mentor database there at First Headquarters. And so it puts you there. Sales tax exemption. If you are not tax exempt, you would click this. If you are tax exempt, you would click this, and it would give you an opportunity to then upload your tax exemption certificate. Legal address. This is where you're going to be receiving your information for your team from First in case they need to mail you information. Contact name, who's that? Contact email. That's typically your lead team lead 1. That's me here. My school is my legal address and our address, and then my phone number, and then an alternate phone number if I wanted to have that. And then once you fill all that out, you click save. Next underneath this one is school or organization. Again, most of you have probably completed this, or Team Mentor 1 or 2 has. We're a school. I've associated our high school. I could add another association if you're going to be multiple schools, or if your community team going to be sponsored by a community organization, you could choose that as well. So sponsors, this is what's going to be critical for your note for the program for the tournaments. You will start to enter the name of the sponsor. You can tell it's company, government, individual donor, nonprofit, other, school district, university, and then just a short description of what that sponsorship is. And if you want to, if you had a new title sponsor come on, somebody that you wanted to take and you want to change the order, for instance, if I wanted to move arm up, I could click arm here and move that up. And now whenever our name is pronounced, it will have that new. So I'll go back here. Actually, I don't think I clicked save there on that. So if I move Haas down, move Wested, or I'm going to go back and move arm up, arm up. And at the bottom, I save it. So now you see this here. This is the name that will show up in the program for your team. It'll show up on the website. It'll show up on the printed materials for the tournament. They'll actually call your names out at the tournaments, and they'll mention that your team is being sponsored by them. So that helps you promote those programs and promote those sponsors. And so a little bit of way that you can prove some marketing for them. Any questions on team profile, team organization, or sponsors page?
Yeah, I have a quick one. You mentioned the mentors and putting yourself on a database. I'm assuming that once it's on the database, they reach out to you and if they find a mentor, or don't need to follow up with anything, or how do I get mentors? I guess is what I'm asking.
I really don't understand how that works, Chris, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's magic.
We have clicked it every year that we're willing to mentor teams, and we've never been contacted through First or First headquarters. David, you may know from a senior mentor point of view.
So that information will funnel down to your regional director, and that would be Carolyn in your case, Chris. And then Carolyn will work through the First Senior Mentor, their resources. I know particularly in Louisiana, as she runs across mentors, she tries to connect them with area schools or regional connections with whatever level. She has the emphasis on FRC, but she has her finger in a bunch of things.
Yeah, she's done well with that.
Your need for technical and non-technical mentorships is out there in the ether right now.
Cool, thank you.
Something that I'll mention, Norman, while we're on that sponsorship, is that I would encourage all of the rookies, and I'll get some feedback from Carolyn. I know that Mississippi Power and NASA are big sponsors and have engaged each one of the Mississippi teams I know, and I'm assuming less the Mississippi Power, the NASA grant has supported the rookie teams in Louisiana as well. That as you're putting those sponsors in there, you'll rank them in the order of which they provide funding to you. So I just need to touch base with Carolyn and make sure. But for instance, Alyssa's team there in Scott County is going to get a pretty sizable chunk from Raytheon. So all the Mississippi Power and NASA are in there too. I think we will rank them in the order of which they donate the funds.
Quick follow-up on that. There was a First grant on that as well. Should we include First as part of the sponsors? Does that make sense?
I'm going to have to check with Carolyn on that. Chuck and Norman can give some feedback. I don't know that I've ever had a team say that they were sponsored by First.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
typically not announced that way. I've never heard that either.
Yeah.
Just make sure I wouldn't miss anything. Thank you.
Yeah.
Norman,
I
I have
have
two.
a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We have a donor who wishes to remain anonymous. Should we just not mention them, or do we
I would
just
put
call them
anonymous.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
That's
just
common.
yeah, don't mention them. I mean, we've had the same issue
Yeah.
in the past where we had a corporate donor who didn't really want everybody else beating themselves towards their door. And so they specifically said, you can have the money, but we do not appear on shirts, we do not appear on robots or websites or anything. Just keep us quiet.
Exactly right. And so my recommendation there is definitely thank you cards to them, thank you notes, emails to them, but their wishes. We had 2 families last year that donated our program and wished to be anonymous. And as Scott said, we had a corporate sponsor for multiple years that did not want their logo on the robot. And so for various reasons, absolutely not required. So this is first way of tracking who's involved, and also absolutely a way of them getting a little bit of marketing out of their value of sponsoring teams, because it goes in the program, it goes on the website. If you go to the first, event page, so if we look at FRC events and look at a team name, your team name shows up there. If you go to Blue Alliance, which is a independent team from website from First, it scrapes all the data from First and it's there. So lots of ways that these companies can get some bang for their buck out of the sponsorships there. So under team information, again, you had team profile, team sponsor, school organization, delete team. Don't want to do that. Find mentors. This is another one is the mentor network. So you can take and agree to, you have to scroll down, read through it, and you can agree to that. And then again, that puts you back into the mentor network. And this is something that's another step you can do. I'm an absolute believer of every avenue you have a choice to receive help. I would encourage you to do that. So find a team, you're not, if mentors are looking to sponsor, to get involved with teams, they can do that. But you as a team, you could choose here, get started, upload an image of your team, will be the next step. And then you just go through the steps there, and it's a relatively easy, simple process there. Yes, Chuck.
Yeah, I had a couple of things, Norman, circling back to the sponsors and whatnot. One, when recognizing someone that doesn't, want their name or to be recognized, we've had some individuals provide donors, provide funding and that kind of stuff that didn't want that. And so we still wanted to recognize them, but sort of covertly. So we just put their initials in there. We had one, DTB. That's a person's initials. Nobody knew who it was, but they, could see when it was out there that we acknowledged them. So that's another sort of covert way you could do something if they were agreeable to that. Norma, could you go to any of those pages real quick, like the sponsor page or something? Just click. I want to point out one navigation thing now in the dashboard.
So
yeah,
where do you want me to go, Chuck?
Anywhere where you were, team information, that's fine. Pick a team sponsors where you were, that's fine.
Okay.
Now, when you're navigating, I'm pointing out, Norman has been clicking that back to dashboard button right there. Do not click your browser back button, or you will have a difficult time. It's just muscle memory for all of us that click around in here all the time. But I was wanting to point out that don't click your browser back button, but that back to dashboard button.
That's a great point, Chuck.
And Daniel, this is specifically for you. I need to have a conversation with you as far as where your team is actually physically going to meet, location, that kind of thing, because I have a potential mentor for you in your area. He lives closer to Mize, but he would like to connect with you, or I'd like to connect the two of you together so he could see if it was possible for him to help you guys out mentor wise and whatnot, where to meet and that kind of stuff. So
Chuck, I got that information, and we'll get together with them.
Fantastic, Dave.
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to go back to Team Alpha here. So we got team information next, and this is very appropriate for this week. So this is under payment and product. You have order replacement parts. This will be important after kickoff. So you'll get your kit of parts, you'll inventory that. And if you're missing parts, you would come here to order replacement parts, and you would enter the items, shipping address and information, and submit your request. So that relatively easy process.
That typically opens up middle of the week after kickoff. You can't do it just on Sunday or Monday. It's usually like Wednesday-ish.
That's right.
And you have a very short window to tell them you're missing things. It's usually like by Friday or something. So you have a couple of days. So when you get your kickoff kit that Saturday, make sure you go through the checklist, and we can show you where to find that. It's a PDF file, and check off and make sure you got everything. And if there's anything missing, particularly anything of importance, not like maybe a sponsor sticker or something like that you don't really care about, but if there's anything important missing, make sure that you watch for when that opens up. And it is common for things to get missing. They're packing 3,500, 4,000 totes of stuff, and things just get left out. You know, it's a logistical hurdle to get to. So.
All right, I see, Chris, you have a hand up there, and I think it may be related to your question. Chris's question in chat was best inventory tool, anything other than Google Sheets. What we do is in the kit of parts, they will literally have a PDF to print out. It has a picture, it has a description of the item, and tells you how many of that item that you should have received. And so literally what I do is I print that out, I give it to my students, and I have them go through and literally mark it off with a Sharpie or a pen. It's a digital item. You could do it on an iPad or a computer as well. But it is.
You can just show it to them right there. Pull up the tab from this past year. Go to your First Inspires page. Show them where to get it, and it'll be.
Yeah, let me go find this year's program.
It's under game manual program.
Game and season. Is my screen changing?
Yep.
Yes.
Go to game and season. Now you actually want to go back to game and season. I think. Game manual, where you find the PDFs.
Yep.
And then right there somewhere, maybe take you to the same place. There's a kickoff kit. Maybe it goes to the same place. Somewhere there's a PDF right here. So what you're experiencing, everyone, is the woes of a first website. Even those of us that know this thing is here have a hard time finding it.
And what the great thing is, we'll be able to help direct you on kickoff day.
It's a PDF right here somewhere in front of us.
Question about that. Will we have access to that PDF before kickoff days? I'd like to. Okay.
Great question, Chris. No, we won't have access to that. That will be on kickoff morning. So you will go to your local location, pick your totes up. You'll attend the day there, however long that is, and you go back home, and then you can take that PDF, and it will, I guess Chuck says, it will be here. I'm still trying to find it, see if I just didn't get to it.
No, I have an idea what, like an Andy Mark PO or something would be. So I'm imagining it looks something similar to that.
It's literally a checklist, a PDF file with pictures, and like Norman said, pictures. You can check a box.
Cool.
It should be right there under the black tote, and that's
Yeah.
right there above where it says gray tote, black tote, drive base kit. Of the bullets that are at the top of right there, there should be a PDF that you can click, and I don't know why it's not there. So maybe they've already pulled it from last year, so you can't click the link or something. But if you go back to the game of season page, I want to point out one other thing, Norman.
Okay.
Right there at the very top, you see where it says 2023 encryption code? This sort of gets to everything that's on this page is, or most everything that's on, a lot of the stuff on this page is the secrets, sauce sort of stuff that we don't know until kickoff. It's what is the game, what is the challenge, what are the rules, what is in the kickoff kit, the secrets. And so we're obviously looking at 2023. This is past years. This will get populated with new links right the night or so before kickoff, and it will all be encrypted. It will be encrypted PDF files. And I would encourage you to download those encrypted PDF files before kickoff, like the night before or whatever, because the website will get slammed with everybody, and there's a bandwidth limits. And see that encrypted, that he's got highlighted encryption code? During the kickoff video, at the very end of the video on Saturday morning, they will post the 2024 kickoff code up there. Grab your phones, take a picture, and as soon as you have that, and when you try to open the manual, you can type that in, and you will then be able to see the super secret information without having to wait for downloads and whatnot, or the systems that get real slow. That's a little tip for those of us that have been doing this for 20 years.
Right. And the second tip would be at the end of the day, after the server slowed down,
right,
you want to delete that original manual, because every time you go to it, you would have to input this code. After the kickoff day, they will release the unencrypted manual, and you can download that. And so you'll want to download that afterwards. And I would wait a couple hours to do that. So, but yeah, Chuck, and again, these are all things that we will remind y'all the week before kickoff of when that link comes out. We will have a demonstration video that we will make, and we will put on here, and we will share with you guys how to go about doing that process.
And I'll say it now because you'll probably hear me and Norman and David and everybody else tell you this 1,000 times. Don't rely on the old documentation. I will guarantee you that documentation will change at least twice a week. That's part of the game. That's part of the challenge. So the rules you read on Saturday will be different, the next Saturday. See these updates? See this last updated April 11th and whatnot? This is the team updates from last year. And all of this highlighted stuff gets, edited, changed throughout the season as teams find, typos or realize there's a loophole in the rules or et cetera. So, get your encrypted manual to get you started on Saturday evening or Sunday, get the unencrypted manual, and then don't print that out and just consider it the unchanging Bible for the next 3 months. Continuously refer back to the team updates and the updated rules that get rolled up, usually on Tuesdays and Fridays, if I remember correctly. Is that right, Norman?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go back to payment product here. I want to get to the one that we want to talk about a little bit here today is, and focus on this, is the passwords and voucher codes.
Important stuff.
So this is part of your kit of parts. These are free items that you get. Some of them are virtual, like the NI software, which is the LabVIEW, which will be your driver station for your computer. Some of them are actual links to other websites and a code that, like for Rev Robotics, you click the drop down, you have a $50 credit at Rev Robotics. And so this is the code that you would enter when you check out at Rev Robotics, and you would get a $50 discount on your order. So the one that we want to talk about this week is First Choice. So First Choice is when Chuck and David and us all started, we used to get multiple totes. And in those totes would be lots of things that most teams probably wouldn't use. And so First has now started they've partnered with Andy Mark, and these companies donate materials to the program. And then you get to go in and you get to choose some items that you want, and you have credits. And so this code right here, that is my code for Team Alpha. And so I need to enter that code and my team number. So I'm going to go through and demonstrate how to do that. And the Google Doc I've been referring to today has the link to Andy Mark's First Choice webpage. It has a video from KoPilot, who is in charge of kit of parts at First headquarters. And she goes through the video to show you exactly step by step what to do. And probably the most important key, there's two key steps. One is having the correct code for your team. And then the first time you go in, this yellow window is going to show up. You have to set up billing and shipping. So this will be, is it going to be a PO or a credit card or whatever? You have to set that up. Once you set that up, this yellow window will not show again for you. If I go back to my dashboard, find my dashboard.
To clarify, Norma, what you're putting in there is a way to pay for shipping. The things that you may get are free. They're basically, you spend credits in a store of First things on a lottery sort of a priority list that Norma's fixing to explain. But the shipping actually costs money, UPS or FedEx or whatever. And so you're giving them payment information for these things to arrive, but you don't pay for the things, just the shipping.
Probably a 10% question here, but can that shipping be a PO?
I've always given credit card. I don't know. I think it has to be credit card.
I think it can be a PO, Chris. Especially if you have PO system set up with Andy Mark.
Yep.
And if you don't, that's definitely one of the suppliers we would encourage you to use, especially for you guys in Mississippi, Louisiana, because the shipping will be probably next day or 2 day to you guys from Indianapolis there. So I've clicked on the link. It takes me to the First Choice webpage, and this is where it would show the items that are available. And then for me to log in, upper right-hand corner, I go click on login. It asks for my team number, or 2689. I copied the code from the First dashboard. I certify I'm not 13 years old, although Scott thinks I act not 13 sometimes.
They're with you.
And then I click and log in. Now I'm in. You can see up top, it says I'm in for 2689. So now each individual item is listed, and it tells you how many credits that item would cost and how many would be the limit per item. So you have 540 credits. If you entered yours this week, just as we did, we entered our credits. It has not been processed yet. They'll go through and you'd rank them in order of what you want. You would list your first important item that you want first, and you need to list more than you want, more than 540, because you might not get item number 2. And if you don't have to use those credits, then you wouldn't get, but the credits don't go away. So the credits for this first round have closed. All right, the deadline was this week. The good thing about this is those credits didn't go away. The credits will open back up again on kickoff day on January 6th. And you will be able to take and choose to use your credits. There will probably be some extra game pieces. So this is the one area where you could use if you can get some game pieces. You're probably going to want more than the game piece allotted in the kit of parts, depending on the game. So you would take and do that. So I'm going to go back to products. So if I said I wanted red duct tape, I'd click on red duct tape, and it says that would be the number and the quantity I could enter. If this were accessible, I could take and enter how many I wanted of this item. And then it tells me a max of 5 per team. Tells me what would be a max. There's no guarantee I'm going to get these, but I would take and put these items in there. And so you could go through. Key items are, yes.
Norman, at the expense of me sounding really stupid, when I received that of ordering those parts and things, I really didn't know what was going on, first of all, because I've been getting all these emails hitting back and forth, and so I started feeling kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah,
I want to do the right thing for the programs. So even right now, I don't understand why we're just, I'm just trying to get an understanding. So the reason that we're looking at these parts and we hadn't gotten our kit, is it that we just going to need these extra things and you are going to tell us exactly what we need? I really don't understand. I'm sorry.
We can certainly help guide you on what to get. If you did not fill out first choice that closed Thursday, I think, whatever the end of the month was, the 30th, do not be concerned. This is essentially a lot of stuff that is not enough quantity to give every team one, or it's things that you probably won't, everyone probably won't need. This is, none of the stuff in here is high priority that you have to play the game. Those red and blue balls right there are leftover game pieces from last year. There's motors, there's small things in here that may be useful. And if you did, that's, found some stuff in there that you really wanted and put it in there, that's perfectly fine. If you did not do it, here, this round one, that's okay too, because I'll tell you, my team asked for 2 things in here, and I'm sure that's what Scott and Norman and everyone else did, in hopes that we're saving our credits and there's going to be more stuff added in round 2 that you can make more informed decisions on, whether it's game pieces like Norman said, or there's additional brackets or additional motors or additional electronics or things that are of more value to you. And this is essentially to get teams the things that they need that they don't have, without giving everybody a bunch of stuff that everybody doesn't need. And like I think you're alluding to, it's hard to make an informed decision, particularly if you're a rookie team that have never done this before and you don't know what the game is, you don't know what you're getting in the kit. Those of us that are veterans, have been doing this for 20 years, we certainly have an unfair advantage. We have stockpiles of stuff that we've accumulated for years. We know what we're looking at here in all these parts, what may be useful, what may not, does anybody need, 5 rolls of red duct tape or yellow duct tape or whatever? Probably not. I will tell you, last year, all I got out of first choice was about 100 rolls of duct tape in every rainbow color you can imagine. I got a shelf full of them, and the same thing with electrical tape, because in honesty, when they're 5 credits, I can't go to Home Depot and buy a roll of duct tape for $5 anymore. And it's essentially a bunch of free duct tape and electrical tape, and I got enough of that and heat shrink to use for years and years now. But nothing in here went on my robot. So don't stress out if you didn't do this or you don't know what to pick. I will tell you, those command strips, have you ever been to, buy those things? Every one of those little packages is like $10, some of this stuff is just useful around the shop. Some of it is probably not useful to anybody anymore. There's funny stories behind those fuel cells bag of 6 right there that we could get into at some point in time. But I know where 25,000 of those are, as does Scott and Norman and whatnot, that they cannot give away.
That's right. So yeah, as Chuck says, no, go ahead, Scott.
There's also, I think Norman mentioned the Blue Alliance as being one website that has some information regarding robots, competitions, etc. There's also another website called Chief Delphi. And on chiefdelphi.com, the one team in particular, Spectrum from Houston, publishes a guide to the first choice every year, and it gives their analysis as to the value of certain things. And so you could use that as well as a resource. There's a lot of teams helping teams. So it should be posted by Alan Gregory.
I will tell everyone, we asked for some Neo motors and some Spark Max motor controllers in that order, because I've got more Spark Max motor controllers than I have motors to drive with those. And those are the only two items in the entire list that I found any value in for my team. There is some strategy when you make this list on how you make it and what you decide you want more of or more first or that sort of stuff. Given the limited quantity and the fact that everybody is going to do the same thing, there's no possible way that I will get both motors and motor controllers. And so more than likely I'll get 2 motors at most out of this and be done with it, and then save the rest of my credits for January and see if there's more game pieces or something else that's of greater use. And so do not stress if you did not do this by the deadline this past week. It's not a problem.
That's right. This is a low priority item, but just want you to understand how to use the resources.
I will take this opportunity, and Norman, can you go up to the first website, the Kit of Parts website you were at earlier? Wherever it was, the actual first website.
Let me find it. I'll get back to it.
Up there somewhere. The first, when we say Kit of Parts, it's easy to think that is a robot kit that's just a bunch of parts that you bolt together and instructions, etc. Historically, that has not been the case. This coming year, that is much more the case with the kit bot and the initiative that we're trying to do, etc. But go down to kit of parts right there under technical resources, and you see it's listed as 3 things: kickoff kit, first choice. Just go to the main page there, it's fine. Right there. So right there, the kit of parts is 3 separate components. There's the kickoff kit, which is a physical tub, or in the case of rookies, 2 physical tubs and possibly some cardboard boxes and some extra things that won't fit in them that's longer. That's part of your registration fee. It's things you get to help you build a robot. Rookies will use a lot more of the stuff in there than veterans do, etc. The other 2 items are the first choice that we were just talking about, which is the sort of leftover stuff that there's not enough to give everyone, and there's the lottery system and making priority lists and yada yada yada, and it's may or may not be useful, etc. But hands down, without question, the greatest value and probably the least utilized thing in the kit of parts that every team gets is the virtual kit, that last thing down there. This is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars that you got for paying your $6,000 registration fee. All of these seats of all of these software licenses are incredibly expensive. Mastercam right there, 3 seats of 2023 educational Mastercam. Each seat of that is like 20 grand. All of these, every possible software you can imagine, from Autodesk, SolidWorks, Tableau, all of these are very expensive softwares, and you get lots of seats of them. So this is where the value is in your registration fee, that you can use this software with your kids in your classrooms, in your whatever environment you have. Use it, get the stuff, download it, get your licenses. Some of the stuff is like a 1-year license, but that's okay because you get a new one each year. If you were to just go to the Autodesk suite and see the dozens and dozens and dozens of software that are available from Autodesk, I mean, you're probably talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars just in Autodesk software alone. Would you guys have anything to add on that, Scott or Norman? Or
I'm going to add on Solid Professor here.
Yep. Training.
We use Solid Professor as our training in my engineering classes to learn SolidWorks. You get a free account. I have a free account set up for my team. Every kid in my program knows to log into it. They can take, there are over 3,000 hours of tutorials. There is SolidWorks tutorials, there's Autodesk tutorials, there's 3D printing tutorials, there's Onshape tutorials. And so for no other reason, if you're an educator, here's a great resource for you to use this software for some training if you're wanting that. As Chuck says, you can get free sponsorship from SolidWorks. SolidWorks, we get 180 licenses from SolidWorks to give to my team. You could
That's
use
180
Autodesk.
licenses, and SolidWorks is probably 5-10 grand a seat.
Yeah.
One seat is 10 grand.
Yeah. So do
And-
the math. Your $6,000 entry fee just got you just enormous value to use in your classroom to get software to use, like Norman was saying. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is some of the license keys, the passwords, the way to get these virtual softwares for free are in your dashboard in the products and vouchers tab. But it's only a few of those. When you get your plastic totes, yes, there's only a few of these right here. When you get your plastic tote, there will probably be a Ziploc bag in there with a bunch of sponsor stickers and some just, brochures and stuff that 99 out of 100 teams don't even open and look at. It's a ruler from DigiKey. It's a bunch of little stuff, and they go straight for the wire and the main breakers and the orange light and things like that. And in that envelope will be a little booklet, 5x7 sort of size. That little booklet is probably worth, if you're Norman and got 180 seats at $10,000 a piece, and it's got your instructions in there on how to go to get your SolidWorks licenses, that little booklet may be worth $1 million to you. And I'm not exaggerating. Go, make sure you find that little booklet and utilize this stuff. This is the great value of your registration fee. And it's something that far too many teams just gloss over and don't pay attention to or don't utilize. There's more software than I can possibly use. I just don't have the resources to learn all of this stuff and implement it in my team. Sorry, that's my dog shaking her head.
All right. So, first choice products and vouchers. Hope we answer some of your questions there. Understand that that's not a priority to have gotten done this week. You'll have a chance. As Chuck says, there's lots of virtual softwares there. Also, don't think you have to use all those. Just use the ones that you feel like would be beneficial to you. Some of your mentors may be able to use them to assist the team. And that will be on kickoff, and we will go over that bag in kickoff. I'm gonna go back
Things
to
like that. Automation Direct $50 voucher, the Rev Robotics $50 voucher, or those. That's literally $50 you can go online and spend at their website to get products that they sell. If you don't know what you need or don't know what those products are, ask us. We will help guide you to the best way to spend that stuff. And that these don't expire until say August or May or whatever. So it's not like you have to go spend it right at kickoff. You can be in the middle of February and realize, oh, I need another battery. And Rev's batteries are $50 a piece. There's a free battery from them, kind of thing. So we can help you whenever.
Right. So
Make
Christy,
informed
Christy, you said you didn't have the yellow box. It may not be there right now because the way First Choice has already closed this first round. But we can definitely address that between now and kickoff and see. And if I need to get onto a call with you personally to work with you, but not a priority to get done today. Heather, your question was you have grants to cover not only your team, but others. First Choice is specific to a team, as David said. So 2689 Team Alpha has one code, and that's specific to that team. Now, if you have grants like that you're wanting to order from these companies and then use those parts and materials to give to other teams, you absolutely have control to do that on yourself there. But these specific things here are specific to a single team through First Choice. And in all of these codes that you see here in the vouchers and on the virtual page that Chuck mentioned, all teams have access to those, and some of them are one-time use. As Chuck says, some of them have a deadline and some of them have a financial limit there. So I'm gonna go back to our questions page, try to wrap up here soon. This was one of the questions submitted by one of the co-pilots. What happens if I miss first round choice or first choice? I think we covered that. Master calendar. The closest thing to a master calendar for first is here. And this is under programs. You can go to programs, first robotics, and then you can find the calendar there this season, game and season. And then it lists all the upcoming dates and activities that are coming forward. Not an awful lot of things there right now that would pertain to us. But that would be the master calendar. We will try to set up a calendar for us as well through Band app, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Booster Club nonprofit. It's different in each state in terms of payments and processing. We have a nonprofit here in Texas that we set up. That was really critical step for us that took some finances and some work, thanks to Scott and Scott's belated wife, Linda, were huge in that aspect for us. If you can't set up a nonprofit, see if you have a PTO group on campus or with your district that you could partner with. But definitely getting up, ordering and setting up that. We have open POs at Home Depot and Lowe's that we've set up with the school if you have finances available like that. So for us, our kit up on the kickoff day, we'll go over and pick up all the lumber that we need for building the field. And that's just an open PO that we use. So that's another option. Setting up POs with Andy Mark, setting up POs with Rev Robotics, some of those companies is definitely possible for you to do now. And that is specific to your school, probably more than specific to me trying to lead you here from Texas. One question we had was, had somebody said they had a mentor trying to encourage them to do a swerve this year as a rookie team. I'm going to encourage, first of all, the commitment to this program is we want you to build the kit of parts chassis, which is going to be to the kit bot or every bot that is the base. Swerve would be a great follow-up project maybe after this year as an off-season project to develop that and give your kids something exciting to work on in off-season, to work on and really create some interest and create a great off-season project of building it, putting it together, learning to program it, learning to control it. But I would not recommend that. And the commitment to this program again is we want you to use the kit of parts chassis because that's what that's what every bot in the kit bot is going to be based on. The other is recordings. I am recording all these and I'm going to show you we have the Band app, which David has taken and signed up our program for. You'll be getting invitations to this week. And so if you've used Slack or Discord or any items like that, this is very similar to that. It's a free version. It is school friendly. It meets all the qualifications you would need for most schools. And so we'll be inviting you here and we can do polls and we can host videos and we can do announcements. And the great thing about this will be where we'll gather our information and we'll start to post here. So if you miss it, you can see we have attachments up. We can add attachments up here. We can add albums. We can have post threads. So we'll start to share those with you there in that. So we're a little bit over here. Was hoping to get out of here within the hour, but if there's first of all, if you need to get off, you're more than welcome to drop off the call. If there's some question that we had today that wasn't answered or came up, absolutely would like to answer those questions. I want to encourage you to look at the email you received this week of the Google form. We would like to have you we're going to try to send you something once a week to try to get some feedback from you that can help us address it. And so if you can look at that document, there's a whole list of questions there that you might not even know that you need to be thinking about. But we want you to go look at those and try to help us choose 3 that are, wow, I didn't even think about that. Or what's most critical, do you think? And that will be some of our focus for next Monday's call as we start to look at that.
And please don't limit it to just the questions in that Google form. If you have any other questions, something we didn't think about, that's just stuff that we threw down as sort of icebreaker starter questions. But please ask questions.
Norman, I would also like to, I see a lot of educators here, and I know that it's certainly in our region, that's kind of the genesis of it. The schools get connected and then they start building it out to the business and industry. So one, I would encourage all of our educators to, if their mentors, technical mentors from business and industry or non-technical mentors are not a part of KoPilot, that you get them registered to be a part of this, because we're going to be providing information that is valuable for you, but you also have these technical mentors that are engineers and fabricators and designers and have decades worth of experience. And you are going to be less likely to be able to answer their questions when Chuck and Norman and all of this group can easily say, you're an electrical engineer, this is what you're going to need, here's your resources. And you being the pass-through may not be the easiest way for that to happen. So get your technical, non-technical business and industry mentors connected with KoPilot so that they can start building the relationships with all of the adults here as well. I think from the educational standpoint, we got you covered, but there's a whole a larger scope of that. So get your mentors connected with KoPilot.
So I'm going to segue off that, David. Scott, can you turn your camera to include who's sitting next to you there a little bit, both of you? So right here. So these 2, and then we got Chuck up there. Chuck is the chief robot inspector for all of FIRST. And so we've got an amazing resource here of somebody who not only is an FRC mentor, is an engineer, but he is on the planning and organizing of inspecting and has a weekly call and works with inspectors across the board. Scott is one of our robot inspectors for our team. He's typically a lead robot inspector at least 1 or 2 tournaments a year. Scott previously was on the control system committee. Scott is highly instrumental in the involvement of CAN control in FRC. And with the previous company he was with, Luminary Micro, then Texas Instruments, and working with Joe Hirschberger, who is from National Instruments and is on the FRC Design Committee and System Control Committee and the Robo Rio project at NI. And one of his colleagues that works with him at NI is Greg McCaskill, who's sitting right there with Scott. Greg is an FTA at tournaments. Greg is responsible for the control system vision activities that go on within the Robo Rio and the control system. And he works with WPI, and FIRST headquarters on the technical resources on programming. And so we have some amazing access to amazing mentors. And as David said, first of all, I don't know anything about programming, and I'm not going to learn about programming because I have those 2 guys sitting right there in that window that I don't have to worry about that. And I turn that over to them, and they understand it from the very inside because Greg is actually developing that system for all of the 3,500 FRC teams around the world. Chuck is developing and in charge of the inspection process and system for all 3,500 teams. So by you being in this call and you bringing your team to this program, you have access that only those in KoPilot are going to have access to. And so I would absolutely want to echo what David said. Get your technical mentors to sign up and get them in here, because there's going to be some nights we're going to have breakouts, and we're just going to send the engineers off to the room with some of our engineer mentors so they can ask questions of them that they have very specific to your needs that you do not have to worry about as the educator. So absolutely want to echo what David said there. George, how do you connect other mentors and other non-tech contacts to KoPilot? A great question. So the Google form where you signed up, you can have them fill that form out. You can just share that with them, and that will go into the database. And as everybody joins that, I will be sending a welcome video to them, just as I did you all. And then we will include them in the Google group, and they'll start to receive the emails as well.
Okay, so from last Monday, we had a couple of mentors on with us, so they will automatically get this invitation each time, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right.
You don't have to worry about communicating. If they have completed that Google form, I will be sending all the information you get out to them. And then we will try to encourage all them to get in the band app, and we'll start to have signups for the band app this coming week. And we'll start to try to learn that process. The whole thing is we don't have the full system in place yet. But what we're trying to do is spoon feed and give us small segments that we can get comfortable with that. And so by the time kickoff gets here, you understand who to go talk to, how to find those resources, where to find those resources, either live or they're saved or they're posted within the band app.
So with that being said, speaking of kickoff, because that's our next largest milestone, does anybody have any specific questions related to kickoff that they haven't received an answer about? That is beautiful. I hope that you are not holding back on that, and we're going to get all kind of questions after we get off. This is certainly the safe zone, and this is the place to throw out your questions. So lastly, with us, for the teams that are in Mississippi and Louisiana, I sent a note out. Chuck has graciously offered his robot headquarters at Erdic in Vicksburg, and I put out that invitation. If you have a desire and time in your schedule, I would highly encourage this, because you'll get to see not only the full scope of what happens there, but we'll get to interact with some KitBot robots. Hands-on wise, we'll get to talk to Chuck's group of engineers that span doing the educational part all the way to the technical mentorship part. So I sent an invitation to you. If one person can come from your group, so be it. If you can bring some educators and technical and non-technical mentors, let's utilize this opportunity and the gracious invitation from Chuck. If you have any questions about that, send me that information.
That's next Saturday the 9th in Vicksburg, Mississippi. We're sort of centrally located, Mississippi, Louisiana. Come one, come all, more the merrier. I just need a list of names. We are a secure facility or military facility, so I just need to get those to our security department early this week. But please, I would love to see everyone there. Anybody that can come, just get those names to David through the Google form, or however he it's a request, an email, or whatever, so I can turn that in pretty quickly this week.
And you can forward that, those of you that are in the KoPilot, you can forward that to any of your people that you're picking up right now. Just forward that Google form to them in my invitation. And if they have any questions that you can't answer, my phone number's on there. They can call or text me at any time.
And I'm not limiting to just KoPilot teams or rookie teams. If there's a veteran team or something that wants to come, that's great. The more the merrier. Whoever, we just want to have open dialogue, conversation, and answer questions, and show you guys what an FRC shop is like, and KitBots, and we have a lot to talk about. And hopefully this will take some of the stress off of these calls for Norman, and prime some stuff for our future calls here in the coming weeks before kickoff.
All right, George, you have your hand up there.
Yes, sir. Regarding the trip to Vicksburg next Saturday, is there also a possibility that there's someplace in closer to South Louisiana that some of the teams that may not be able to make the trip to Vicksburg can make a trip to someplace centrally in South Louisiana as well?
I don't see any issue with that. Lewis Jackson, who is your first senior mentor for Louisiana, is connected with this group. He was just unable to come today. So I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to get something for a more centralized Louisiana connection as well.
All right, I appreciate that because I know some of us may not be able to make that trip into Vicksburg. So if we could have something for some of the more southern part of Louisiana to be able to have the same opportunity would be absolutely amazing.
Awesome. I'll get on that with Lewis.
I appreciate that, David.
No problem.
Scott, you're up.
Yeah, so when y'all do get signed up for the band app, and you get connected and whatnot, under the attachments tabs, I've created a folder for electrical documents. I wanted to let you guys know that I've uploaded the slides of a presentation that our students did last year at a kickoff workshop. It's probably pretty helpful for you guys getting started because it talks about different electrical tools that you might want to consider looking at, sources of how to purchase them. And the nice thing about this particular document is that it all tries to emphasize the lower cost side of doing electrical tools or getting electrical tools for constructing the electrical subsystems of the robots. If you wanted to look through that, we can have a breakout session in a future call where you can sort of have a set of questions after looking through it a bit. I thought I'd let you guys know that it's there, something to find and download when you join band.
Thank you.
All right. Chris, you said you had questions on PO maybe?
Yeah, I was just seeing, I'm spending a lot of my time on that, and I'd love to pick your brain as far as you were talking about open POs and stuff like that. And maybe this is a conversation to have later with just you and I, or however you want to do that, but figuring out ways to make this process a little easier to make sure that POs are able to clear and go where they're supposed to go. And I know it's individualized for every school, but I'd love some advice as far as what your school has done to get to that.
So for us, our district has worked with Lowe's, and Lowe's has open PO. Lowe's is easier to do than Home Depot for our area. You may not have Lowe's in your area. Finding the company that would be that for a source of some things
we
like
have a Home Depot within walking distance to our school, so hopefully we can get them to go.
You might do that. Definitely check with them.
If your school has a tech theater, like for stage stuff construction, you may want to talk to some of their teachers to see how they do that, because I'm sure they use a lot of plywood.
Right.
So I have $1,000 open PO with them. And so that's just, I just take the PO number in, and when I go check out, give them the PO, and then they do that. Reaching out to Rev, I was at a conference in California in August, and Greg Nadell was in the conference with me, and somebody asked about open POs with him, and he said that's a direct call with them to literally call or email sales@revrobotics.org. And try to set up a call. You're probably going to be talking with Greg's wife and see if you could set up an open PO with them. Again, probably calling Mary Baker or trying to reach out to sales at Andy Mark, and then probably following up with probably be Mary, who you'd be talking to at Andy Mark, which is Andy Baker's wife. Some direct contact with those companies. ThriftyBot, Rev Robotics, Andy Mark are three companies that would all, if you're looking to get vendors approved on school vendor list, those are three I would put on there immediately. McMaster Car is where we order all of our nuts and bolts and fasteners from. You pay for a little bit of the shipping.
Norman, I think that we could have an entire call on sources and whatnot like that.
Yeah,
And I think
That is
we can
going to
get
be,
into the
that
weeds
is
pretty
absolutely,
quickly here.
I think that'll be the week after next, if not next
Yeah.
week for sure.
Where do we get stuff? What do you need? How do you get it? I mean, there's a long list of places to get things, but I think we can narrow it down to a dozen or so of your go-to places, and we'll provide guidance on that in the future. I think given our time, we're already well over. Let's have that as a whole topic for our call sometime. What to get from where.
Sounds great. Thank you.
So the Google form for this week, if y'all had some outstanding questions that are just, you really feel like you need to want to get answered, put those in that Google form. And then if you don't think you have any questions, look at the Google Doc I listed that has a whole list of questions and see if there's things that stand out to you that you might not have even thought about thinking about at this point. But we will definitely have part of the discussion on Monday night will be sources and suppliers. And then the invitation, and we'll probably do a little of have a live look in on some of the EveryBots, get a parts chassis and all in Chuck's shop next week and try to utilize that as a chance to kind of see some of that as well. So you all have a great day. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you spending the time with us, and we look forward to seeing your successes with your teams at home. So y'all have a great weekend.
Thank y'all.
Bye, everyone. See you Monday.